All right, so this is the good chassis that we shortened. You can actually see right down through there where we step notched it and fish plated on the inside and everything like that. So that should be plenty strong. We have done a Crown Vic front end in it, which not bad. I got to put one more bolt right there. But so it this morning when we started up, it was nothing was on this. We had cab there, bed was there, front end was on this truck. It was, but it's just setting on there. So now I have the cab on the truck, front end's on the truck. That's the 57 front end for those that don't know. 57 had single headlight, 58, 59, 60 had duals. It's a fast, easy way to tell them apart. But so this is this Crown Vic swap front end. Right now, we've just went through, we lifted the front end up because of how tall everything was on the back. We got, back here is a straight part of the frame. We jacked up the front end till this was level. Once we had that level, we marked axle center line that you can see right there. So we did that on both sides. And that is because this is getting like a S197 we're in. So those that don't know what S197 is, it's like 05 to 13 or whatever it is till they went to independent rear suspension in the Mustangs. Narrower than the factory, but not as wide as a Crown Vic, or excuse me, wider than factory, but not as wide as a Crown Vic. So it shouldn't cause a problem. A lot of these trucks, when you start getting on them, you'll notice like your front tire clearance between your fender lip right here and the edge of your tire, especially if you lower them way down, cause a problem. We may lower this a little bit more, but not by much. I don't want him to run into tire issues, tire clearance issues, turning issues. I want him to be able to daily drive this thing if he wants to. So he went inside to get some stuff on. So he's going to grind off all these rivets on the hangers. We'll grab the air hammer, knock them out. We'll take off the e-brake cable and rear brake line isn't even hooked up anymore, so we don't have to worry about that. And then this over here, if I can find it, there is a 3-link, which is what these ran from the factory. So this has got to come in. He's going to take a grinding wheel. He's going to end up cutting all this stuff off, going through, cleaning this rear axle up, because we have a 4-link setup to put on it. And that's what we'll end up doing. And hopefully, he doesn't know this yet, but I may be able to get these wheels to clear. I'm hoping they will, because if those wheels will clear, I will give him those wheels to put on it. If not, he may end up with these Shelbys. These are a staggered set too. We'll have to see how it works on the rear end and up in the bed and bed clearance. One of the reasons I love these trucks, for anybody that doesn't know a whole lot about them, they have like massively huge wheel wells. And I mean like big. They're not super deep, but you can order a set of wheel wells, or I can cut them out of another bed I have, and you can tub this thing like 6 inches. super easy, because you can come over 2 more rails before you hit the frame. So I can gain like 4 inches tire clearance on the inside just by cutting that out, sectioning in, 4 inches, 3 inches, whatever it is, 2.5, and I can actually show that wheel well all the way over the frame. But it's got really big wheel wells. That's what I loved about these. So this up over here, you guys are going to be able to watch him jack this thing up, throw it on jack stands, grind off rivets, and then we'll bust out the air hammer. We'll knock all the rivets out. We'll slide this rear end under this rear end out. Once this rear end's out, the other one's got to come in. He's got to throw it on some jack stands, and he's got to cut off a whole bunch of stuff.
Doing is I'm going to be cutting a cross pattern on the rivets right here on the top of them, so then we can take an air hammer, hit the rivets out, and then get a different attachment for the air hammer, and then push the rivets through so then it just pops off. You're going to put it between the bracket and the rivet and wedge it in there, and then push down while pulling the trigger, and that'll happen.
Yep. Basically, it's just taking the head of the rivets off.
In the very middle, push, pop right out. Just come right off. All of them are off.
There we go. So now the frame rail's pretty much all clean. Now he's going to pull out his 4-link. We're going to get this all cleaned up, laid out, and go from there.
Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I am changing these brackets. I'm using the grinding wheel. I am grinding this down right here, and then I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to try to get it off of these 2 brackets, this square off of these 2 brackets, so we can move it because it's not in the right spot for us. So I'm just doing that right now. So what we have done here is we set up the four-link suspension right here. We have set both sides up, so we just had to weld them on. We had to weld it back on to, we had to weld that plate onto the actual four-link, and then we welded it onto the chassis, and then we also welded it on the axle on both sides. On both sides, and that's what we have done so far. I measured from the ends of the thread to the joint all the way to the actual rod, and then I measured it. Also measured the nut, which was 17 millimeters, and from the joint to the actual rod, it was 34 millimeters. So we measured that on every single bar, each side, for all 8. It's 34 millimeters on both of those and both of those. And what happens when you adjust these bars is it can move your rear axle like this, um, like this, and can change the pinion angle like this. And now we just need to figure out where we're going to mount the coilovers. And that's all we're going to be doing now.